Oh, you're coming? All right. I don't mind you. We're starting to complain a little bit, I hear. We are on day 3, I think, with the rice straw bales, and as you can see, they are largely still here, but I do see the cattle in here picking at them from time to time, and I gotta say, this is actually working out a lot better than I thought it would. The cattle are actually eating more of the rice straw bales than I expected, and this is working out great because it is pushing back my time frame for feeding hay. Normally, I think I probably would have already started feeding by now, but as it is, this has given me an extra week or possibly even more than that. And that might not sound like a whole lot, but when it's the end of the season and you're calculating how many more days you can feed with the hay supply that you've got, a week is like a lifetime. This is the first time that the cattle have cried to me like they're doing, and what they're telling me, I think, is that the grass is getting a little bit low. While they do have access to rice straw, nutritionally there's almost nothing in rice straw, so they're using that more as a filler just to fill their bellies up, but the actual nutritional requirements that need to be met are still being met with the grass that they have. But because they are protesting a little bit, that tells me that I need to move them into the last field. This will be the last rotation for the year, where I think they've got probably about 3 days worth of grass, and then after that we'll start feeding the good hay. Yeah, you guys got her tore apart pretty good here, don't you? Wait, buddy. You missed your girlfriends. A good snapshot of forage quality, or the quality of what they're eating, is to look at their manure. There's just no way to talk about this that's not a little bit gross, but basically you want the manure to be kind of more on the runny side. So like when you look at a fresh cow pat, we don't really see ripples, we just see what looks like a splat, essentially. The cattle's ration is too low in protein. You will see a lot more defined ridges or ripples in the manure, and I would love to be able to find one to give you a good example, but I don't see one at the moment. This is a better example here of a cow that's been eating some more lower quality feed, probably been pigging out on the rice straw a little bit more than the others. But you can see these defined ridges, and I mean, I'm not going to pick it up and feel it, but just by looking at it, I can tell that it's a little bit more firm than the first piece that I showed you. But looking around at all the manure, that's really the only one that I see that looks like that. So that's good to see, and then giving them the new pasture today obviously will help as well. Man, we're only a couple minutes into the video, we've already analyzed manure. So even if we don't get anything else done, it's been a productive day. Fortunately, I do have other things that I need to do today. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. The first thing I'm trying to get done today is this faucet here in the bullpen. I believe I have everything that I need now. It's just a matter of putting it together. I pre-assembled some of this stuff in the shop in the vise. It's a lot easier to do that, but some of this had to wait until we got over here and actually started putting stuff together. Now the part that I like the least about doing this is tightening this up on my tailgate. Fun times. This is why I try to do this stuff in the shop as much as possible. should spend the money on a good pipe wrench, kids. Everything is pre-assembled as much as I can do it now. I've got the water turned off, so the next step is to cut into the existing water line. I've got this piece is what I'll use to tap in, so I'll have to cut out like, I don't know, 5 inches of that pipe in order for this to fit. And I brought a heat gun with me in case I'm afraid this pipe is going to be a little tough to work with. So hopefully if it's too bad, I can use the heat gun to soften it up and make this go a little bit smoother. It's about here. So we gotta cut there. So assuming we get that all the way in, then we would want to cut that one about there. No turning back now. That's what we've got. Hi, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Well, I decided, because, you know, I did bring the heat gun and everything, that I would go ahead and use it. So we'll heat that poly pipe up. That should make it a lot easier to slip the barb fitting in. And, you know, as always with the heat gun, the trick is getting it hot enough so that the plastic is a little bit softer, but not so hot that you melt it. It's tough because that pipe still has water in it in the bottom, so obviously wherever that water touches it, it's not going to soften, but we can just get the top a little bit and hopefully it'll work. What do you think, Callie? Sound like a good idea? Yeah? Well, let's try that. I think that might do it. Oh yeah, that helped a lot. Definitely helped a lot. Let's do the other side. Let's see. This is always the hardest. Harder to do. There. Oh yeah, that heat, that made all the difference. Much easier than it usually is. That is usually the hardest part because that pipe is cold and stiff, and it's really difficult to push those barbs in. Usually the heat gun made all the difference. I'm gonna have to remember that for the future. Not gonna tighten up the hose clamps yet because I want to make sure that piece is clocked right and make sure that we got the pipe where we want it, and then tighten those hose clamps down. What do you think, Belly? Does that sound like a good idea? Is that the way to do it? A lot of people ask me what the puppy's name is. I thought that you could hear Macy saying the name in the background, but if you miss it, the puppy's name is Belly, as in like a nickname for Isabel, or as in Beer Belly. Okay, this is the next piece we need. I think it will be. Okay, I think we need wrenches now. So what I've done is I've got an elbow on the top for the faucet, and then you might have noticed this T here, it's got a plug in it. The point of the T is in case I ever want to hard line a like float or something for their water, I'll be able to just tap into it right there and I won't have to rebuild this entire riser. I think I've got my angle right, so I'm gonna see if I can get these hose clamps tightened up. Oh yeah, they're gonna be just right. That's the way we like it. That's the exact opposite way we want it to face. Alright, I got everything pointing the way I want it now. So, the last thing really is just put the faucet on and then turn the water back on and check this all for leaks. Let's try right there. Water's on. See if we got any leaks. I don't think we do. Everything here is looking good. I don't see any leaks, so we can go ahead and fill this hole back in. Good job, buddy. Stop, stop, stop.
Stop, 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 stop.
Stop, stop, stop. It's muddy. I think we got it. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, we can check that off the list. Next thing I want to do while I'm over here is refill this rat trap. And I know that the bait is empty on this, but I'm not sure if the CO2 is empty or not. I want to replace both anyway, but I'm just kind of curious as to how long the CO2 lasts. So before we pop it out of there, I think we should test it. All right, I think it's it. Yeah, there's nothing happening here. I don't know. Does that smell good to you? Got my refill here, so it's pretty straightforward. Take the lid off. I guess somebody told me this was a New Zealand penny. I'll take your word for it, because I don't know what it is. Stick that in the cap. Something like that. And you can look in there and see that the bait is on the tripwire. So that's probably where I want it. Now just screw this canister back in and we're ready to rock. We should be ready to go. I feel like I gotta test it, you know? Hammered him. Okay, it works. So if you're unfamiliar with these good natured traps, I started using these last year, and the way they work is they're obviously powered by CO2 and they automatically reset. So as rodents crawl up in there to get that bait, which the bait itself is automatically on like a slow release. Not exactly sure how all that works, but it does. And as they crawl up there to get it, that plunger just smashes their heads basically. It's a little gruesome, but it is a quick way to go. The nice thing about this trap is that it is very effective at killing rodents and it doesn't use any poison. So the cats that we have attracted to the barn here aren't at any risk of ingesting poison, like if they come and eat a dead rat or mouse that comes out of this trap. And now I just got to decide where to put this thing. Honestly, I wish I had about 5 of these, but I don't. So I think this side of the barn is a good spot because there's a lot of tunnels going underneath the slab, and I'm sure they run back and forth between the hay and whatever they've burrowed under here. But as far as exactly where to put it, I don't know. Maybe towards the back of the barn. I feel like that would be sort of the highway that they would use. You know, they'll be running back here behind these bales. So we'll stick it over here somewhere. What do you think? Right there. 'Tis the season for rodents. It was pretty cold this morning, and when the temperature drops like that, they start looking for places in barns, shops, your house, wherever. And this is when these traps really shine. Okay, so we got the faucet and the bullpen done. That's awesome. Been meaning to do that for over a year now. And I'm really gonna appreciate having that when the bulls are in there and I'm filling that water up every other day or so. Got the good natured trap refilled. which is also good because, like I said, it is the season for rodents. By the way, if you want to get a good nature trap, those are available through Gallagher, and there's a link and a discount code in the description. So next, we still have a little bit that needs to be done here in the corral. I'm planning to wean the calves, hopefully within the week. And before I do that, I need to get my little cage rebuilt here. And then there is one more job that I need to do in the corral this year. And it's not really dependent on weaning, but when we ship calves, or cows for that matter, we're gonna need this done. That is, I need a gate here at this alleyway. And before I show you what I'm thinking, I wanna talk a little bit about the problems that I have had here in the past and what I'm gonna do to hopefully fix those with the new setup. So, as you can see, there are hinge pieces in this post, and we did used to have a little a metal green gate here. It was like, you know, farm store panel, so super thin and flimsy, and that's exactly what happened. A cow tried to jump over it and totally destroyed it, which kind of brings me into the first problem that I've had in this area, and that is animals trying to jump over, and then the other problem is animals trying to go under. I think the issue is, especially with the calves, is they are used to making a right turn here and going on into the little corral. So when you ask them to now take a left turn into an alleyway they've never been through before, they would much rather go somewhere that they're familiar with. The other issue with having just a regular gate panel here is when the animals kind of get to this bottleneck point, they oftentimes try to reach their heads through it and push through. And when you've got these flimsy little panels here, a lot of times they can do it. And once they do it once, good luck trying to load them after that, because now they have taught themselves this is how you escape, and it is effective. So the plan is to use this old panel that used to be part of the horse pen. We can't just use it as it sits though. It's gonna need to be modified a little bit. And basically what I'm thinking is it needs to be a little bit taller, and I want a solid panel here. So probably the best way to do this in this application anyway is going to be to like attach a sheet of plywood to this once we get it set up to fit over there where it needs to go. Another part of this project will include adding some sort of a hinge to this end that will fit into the hinge that is already on that post. And then I need to come up with some way, an effective way, mind you, to latch that gate. But I also, it's gonna be kind of, it's gonna have to be precise the way the gate fits in here, because I want it to be able to latch right here, but then I also want it to be able to open flat against this fence. And then I also want it to be able to open against this fence in the rare occasion, although sometimes it happens, where you have to bring somebody up this alleyway and you just want to put them straight into the trailer. So a little taller, a little lower, solid wall, and a functional hinge and latch that works. That sounds real easy, right? Well, I hope that it is. I haven't quite figured out how we're gonna do it, but I do think that it's one of those things that I just need to start working on it, and hopefully the solutions sort of present themselves as we go. Go. Looks like we're about 94 inches from the end of the hinge to the end of the gate. So with that dimension, I can cut this panel down and do what hopefully needs to be done to it. I'm sure I won't get this gate done today, but we can at least get started on it. I'm gonna go for 90, I think. What is it? Check out the fit on this. It's basically perfect. This piece of square that I'm welding on the side here where I cut the other side off is a lot thicker wall than what was there. So I think what was there was 16th inch, which I believe is 065 if I'm not mistaken. And this is 120, 1/8 inch. And the reason that I'm using the heavier tube over here is because I think that this is the side I will put the hinge on, and I'll most likely weld a hinge on. And the idea of welding a hinge onto 16 gauge, really thin metal just wasn't that appealing to me. I was probably gonna beef it up anyway. So I thought, well, I've got the piece of 120 wall square. This would make a much better end for the gate. Right about there. This is not how you should notch square tube to fit up to round tube, but it does work, and this is what I'm doing today. So yeah, it gives you a minimal gap to fill, but still a gap, so not the right way to do things, but when you're in a hurry, it works. All right, I've got a mark right here in the center of this rail or this panel. So we just can line that up there. We'll use this piece of square tubing that I clamped on here just to locate this to keep everything on the same plane. I should have ran that clamp out before I started talking, but I didn't. You get a good square, check both sides. I've been aware that I'm very low on shielding gas, but I kind of hate to go change a bottle out when there's still some in there. But I got to run down to empty now. So what that means is, I guess the good thing, I got all of my gas, so I got my money's worth in that regard. But now we're kind of dead in the water on this. So because I'm not going to be able to finish this, I want to show you what the plan is here. The whole reason that I welded this little piece of square tubing here in the middle is because my pipe that I'm going to use to do this top rail or bottom rail, however it works out, is obviously not long enough to span across this. So by putting the square tubing there in the middle, now I can get by with using these two short pieces. One will go up to there, and of course the other in there. Once I get these last two pipes welded into place, then I will somehow attach a sheet of plywood to this and make, I think, a pretty decent little gate. Not bad for just a bunch of junk I had laying around. And the sad part is that even though all this metal is rusty and fairly thin wall, I still have more confidence in this than anything that I could buy at like at a farm store. Oh my God. In the words of Matt from Meat Church, they ain't mad at it. You guys are getting big, aren't you? That's good. That's what you're supposed to do. It seems like in just the last couple of weeks, this group of pigs has just taken off. I feel like they've doubled in size in that time. I mean, I know they actually haven't, but a couple of these guys are just humongous now. The only thing that I can really attribute it to is just the stage of life that they are now in, but also I upped their feed a little bit, not even that much. 1 extra bucket a day, so they went from 3 buckets to 4 buckets, and apparently that has made quite a big difference. And their appointment is not until mid-January, so they're gonna be big. And speaking of appointments, while the turkeys don't have an appointment set in stone quite like the pigs do, I think this turkey here on the very right is probably gonna join us for Thanksgiving. It's the end of October as I'm filming this, and I'm thinking I'll probably give this turkey like 2 or 3 more weeks, maybe harvest him about a week before the big day, so he should still get a little bit bigger even. I feel like he looks like he's big enough to harvest right now, but I'm also trying to keep in mind that there's a lot of feather there, and I don't really know how much of that is feather and how much of that is bird. Belly, here. Here. Good girl. Keeping an eye on things for me? Thank you. What a good girl. You did? Oh, she almost did it. All right, in you go. When I get back in the house, the plan is to eat some dinner and edit this video. So I thought it would be a good idea to take Belly for a little walk and try to wear her out a little bit so that while I'm trying to do those things, she's just happy to take a nap and relax. Tired, honey. Come on, let's go home. I think that's gonna do it for this one. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.